you get two approaches to the art curriculum. You get the art curriculum which is played and interpreted to the letter, which is a paper exercise, which is to do with qualifications and success. Then you get an art curriculum which needs to go down that line inevitably, but within those constraints allows the pupil to look through the window, to dream, to put their fingers through the bars. Maybe that's all I'm doing, allowing them to feel the fresh air through the bars. So I wasn't looking for trained painters, trained photographers, trained filmmakers. I was looking for people who were game to try things, to express some aspect of what they believe their identity to be. If you look at any individual's art, you can get something from it. That's it. It's as simple as that. If it's Picasso, he's found within a historical context. You can't really dissociate him from that position within an historical context. However, if you look at any individual who's not famous as art, you'll find out things about humanity in a different way. So if you see art as the result of a truly essential anthropological function, then every single individual who exhibits that behaviour is saying something which is relevant to their experience, and their experience might be just as valid as any others. It's impossible not to be original, but nonetheless there is such a thing as career art. And career art conspires with the concept of innovation in relationship to social trends to drive forward a historical perspective using art as a tool to say things about society. Now, I don't subscribe to that. That's for the historians and academics. I'm more interested in talking to people and people talking to me, particularly through their art. Well, it's not an atmosphere that I've created. Every single place I've ever worked in, I've surrounded myself with the fruits of the works of pupils. I mean, it's an indiscriminate gallery. I mean, it's not a contrivance, it's a celebration. I definitely subscribe to a philosophical approach to art. I think art equates to philosophy. Art is a language. I mean, it's the one language I can speak. And what I'm looking for is young people who can probably only use that language. Although through this project I'm finding that there are young people who are highly able in dealing with language, foreign language, English language in our school, and using art forms such as poetry and music, and they are expressing things which are close to what you would call philosophy. Although they don't regard themselves as philosophers, of course not. They are philosophizing. They are really weighing up truths in their life based on their experience. It's maybe a form of empiricism, I don't know. I think the decentralization of television is almost imminent. Whether it happens in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, the internet is going to mean that every single person is going to be able to transmit their own TV. That's what this is about. One of the tenets of postmodern philosophy is in fact that people should be able to promote and communicate and dialogue their beliefs. And I think that this project's one wee step in the right direction. So as far as I'm concerned, we are part of a trend, an inevitable trend that's driven by technology, media, to the benefit of individuals for a change. This is an explosion of a different kind. This is an explosion of humanity, an explosion of creativity, and I can't see it ever being stopped. This is indeed a cultural revolution. We're one wee part of it. And I mean, it started with Marshall McLuhan, it started with the Beatles. It started in the 60s as an ineluctable drive to say, I'm going to tell you about my life, I'm going to tell you about who I am. And that's where we are going, and we're not going to stop. Right, Iain Hunter, a pupil I worked with unusually over a period of 6 years. Normally you'll see people a year, they'll disappear to another teacher, come back to you if you're lucky. Now Iain developed considerably and very maturely whilst at school, to the extent that he was clearly one of the best artists I'd ever come across. I mean, in terms of output, in terms of the quality of his work, in terms of the philosophy underpinning his work, Iain was a great guy to work with, but a difficult guy to work with, because he needed too much paper, he needed too much space, he needed too much stimulus, he needed too much in the way of projects to do. He was insatiable. When he went to art college, Edinburgh, he came back and told me within 3 weeks, I don't like it, it's not as good as school. Which tells me an awful lot about his emotional development, psychological development, his social development. I don't know if in fact there's anything wrong with him or whether there's everything wrong with society. There's maybe somewhere between the two. The only thing is he's not an operating individual within our consumer society. So on that level you can criticise him as being unprepared for normal life. But the thing is, he's maybe more normal than the rest of us if you just shift the parameters, the criteria, and decide what is normal.